What's good, y'all, man? Hope everybody had a beautiful day, beautiful week, beautiful month, beautiful year. As usual, I'm trying out a vlog style intro before the intro, so it's like an intro. You feel me? No. Today's topic is going to be about loving your motherfucking self. I know I write in chicken scratch, but it's okay because
we're not cavemen.
we have technology now. Hope y'all enjoyed the video. Like, comment, subscribe as usual, and let's jump into this shit, B.
They don't understand who I am. I'm a man, I'm the man in the jam, no. They don't understand who I am. I'm a man, I'm the man in the jam, no.
So today's content is all about loving yourself. And I'm gonna be intertwining a lot of my own personal struggles. So that one is more relatable, and two, it can tie into more of what I do, so that those who are watching this can kind of either take anything away from what I'm saying or just apply it to your own life in whatever way, shape, or form, right? So everybody always hears the term love yourself. It's very cliche, it's very commonly spoken about. However, it's not necessarily consistently applied in our daily lives. So I'm gonna give some examples of where I struggle in terms of loving my own self, regardless of the people around me who kind of give me that positive affirmation. If you're not giving it to yourself, it's kind of a struggle regardless, right? For starters, for myself, I struggle to accept my physical attributes. No matter how consistently sometimes I try to affirm myself, I don't necessarily find myself attractive, right? Yes, I'm 6'5", and yes, I don't have a weak jawline, right, as my sister tells me. But I don't necessarily find myself attractive. I don't think I'm cute. I don't think that I'm any of those things, regardless of what may or may not be told to me, right? I don't necessarily appreciate what was given to me, you know? And I think that a large part of that comes from my childhood, but a large part of that also comes just from the emphasis that, you know, society places on image. You know, when you look at from professionalism to the workplace, to your dream career, to basic social media uploads, you know, from photos to videos, everything requires an emphasis on how the image looks. It seems like we're always trying to seek perfection in terms of our image, and that's how I am. I feel like I'm never perfect enough, I'm never good enough, I'm not looking good enough, etc., etc. And it's not easy to admit, especially as a man, because, you know, part of masculinity is all about being egotistical and not necessarily displaying emotions. I'm just purely speaking on social convention, right? I'm not speaking on everybody's individual, you know, perspective on the issue. So one thing that I try to do in order to consistently affirm myself, right? It's not enough just to speak to yourself every day to tell you, words are only as impactful as the intentions behind it, right? So you're just saying it for face value, just to try to convince yourself, like, oh, you look good today. Oh, you grew a couple extra chin hairs. Like, yeah, that's cool, you know. But like really affirming yourself takes a lot more work, a lot more effort, and being able to consistently apply that is something that requires a little bit extra from yourself, right? So one thing I try to teach myself every single day in order to kind of build my confidence, so to speak, right, is to focus on understanding that judgment is circumstantial. Every individual's judgment of you may differ. There's always somebody in the world who's gonna find you unattractive, who's gonna find you ugly, who's gonna have something against the way that you look, right? Whether it is from a relationship standpoint, whether it is from a professional standpoint, whether it's just from a visual standpoint, just in general. Understanding that and coming to terms with that makes it a lot easier for me to accept who I am. Knowing that the next girl I come across, right, says that I'm not very attractive. Instead of letting it take a hit to not only my ego, but just my confidence, focusing on the fact that, all right, the next person might have a different statement to say on that issue, right? In summary, what I'm trying to get at is being able to affirm yourself by accepting the flaws that others might see, whether or not it's an actual flaw or whether or not it's just opinionated. Regardless of the fact, you just focus on accepting that and being okay with yourself. That's part of loving yourself, is understanding we only teach ourselves to affirm ourselves, but not to focus on reassuring ourselves with the reality of how the world really is, right? So another way I struggle in loving myself, right, is through mental health. There's so many aspects revolving around the foundation of your mental. It's really hard for me to consistently keep it in high spirits with everything that's consistently going around, especially that social media handles. Like, I don't think people understand how detrimental social media can really be to your mental some days. But I appreciate, don't get me wrong, I love my Twitter. I love my IG. I'm just kind of on Facebook just to be there. Like I don't really use that shit. But understanding that shit can negatively impact your mental regularly is something that you have to take into account, because looking at that and facing that fact is something that's gonna help reframe how we look at how we're approaching our own mental health. So for my depression, I constantly struggle looking at the accomplishments of everybody on my social media, whether it's my friends, whether it's celebrities. It feels like you're so far behind in terms of where you're supposed to be at your age, right? So I'm 23 years old. I do music. I do a variety of things, right? And I'm seeing all these rappers come up at 16 years old, 17 years old, blowing up, signing deals. I see 18-year-olds with their own apartment and a car, 20-year-olds they already have their wife and their house and good credit. Oh, the good credit. Oh my gosh. Like, my credit's decent, but we're not gonna talk about that, you know? And I see all these little aspects, right, just coming flying at me, right? And it's just so difficult to maintain consistent happiness. Seeing all these accomplishments I'm so far away from. And it's so hard to maintain yourself while looking at this consistently. It's kind of like being the third wheel in a relationship, right? You're always surrounded by romance, but you have nothing going on romantically for yourself. It's the same thing with social media, the same thing with what you see and what you surround yourself with, right? And that's what always became difficult for me, because I'm always seeing people succeed and it gets difficult. And yes, people tell you to focus on yourself, tunnel vision. Tunnel vision is really hard to consistently maintain, and we don't talk about that enough, you know? Rappers, all these artists, all these celebrities, all these successful people speak about it all the time as if it's cliche, you know? They obviously don't intend for it to sound easy, but it almost seems easy given how it looks in the social eye. The way I try to work on this is looking at the goals I have achieved and focusing on that sometimes when times get hard. So for example, these are all the goals I have yet to accomplish. These are all the goals that I have already accomplished and erased. Most of these goals, if you see different colors, the reason for that being is because they all originally, I believe, started in green. They might have been a different color, I don't remember. I rewrite every single goal in a different color to show that I already accomplished the goal and I started the next one. Looking at what I've accomplished is definitely key to maintaining my positive reinforcement in my life, right? So yes, I haven't blown up as an artist, but I put out my first project on all platforms, and I'm very happy to be able to say that I've done that. I'll probably leave the link down below in the comments. You know what I mean? That little section down there, the little white bar section. You know what the fuck I mean. I haven't reached where I wanted to be at 23 just yet. However, I got a college degree, right? I actually have a job. It's not the job I want. It might be a little menial, but I have a job. I have some sort of income coming in. I'm not the healthiest, but I am healthy, especially with everything going on with the pandemic. I should count my blessings. So looking at all that, right, rather than focus on the bigger picture, which is overwhelming, right, and especially not the most optimal way you want to approach life. Sometimes you have to focus on like the smaller things and appreciate the smaller things in order to embrace the bigger picture later on, you know? It makes it easier to embrace that I'm not perfect because I at least have some of these things checked off my list, or I at least have some things that I've accomplished in some way, shape, or form. So focusing on those two things, right? It's not like what I'm talking about is new. What I'm talking about is not anything new. I'm simply speaking about it from an honest standpoint so people can see how common it is, right? We want to talk about how common some of these issues are, especially amongst men, because like I said before, social convention kind of dictates how emotionally relevant speaking about these conversations are in terms of being a man and masculinity, how little it seems that men talk about their emotions. And men talk about the insecurities. So literally this is a video of my insecurities. And a lot of my videos are focused on my insecurities, specifically to one, tackle that notion, and two, to show that those who are watching this are not in this alone. And that's the primary purpose of my videos. You're not in this shit alone, right? This is motivation for myself as well, because I struggle with this motivation consistently. Because who knows, maybe one day if this shit blows up in the future, it's like, I could look back and say, I never saw this coming. I appreciate y'all for tuning in today. I'm gonna try to make my videos more oriented around topics like this, stories like this, personal references like this. Tell me if I like it in the comments. I appreciate y'all. Y'all wanna like, comment, and subscribe down low. I would appreciate y'all too. I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. Take care. Have a fucking good day.